Big Finish news. We finally have details on the fugitive Doctor. The first Doctor is living in some darkness, and Matthew Jacobs returns to write for the Eighth Doctor, and the War Doctor is still in the Time War. Our first bit of news is the news we've all been waiting for. The Fugitive Doctor cover reveal and story details. Now, we got a little glimpse of the Fugitive cover in the new Big Finish website or the old Big Finish website. It's all a little bit timey-wimey. So the first box set is called Most Wanted, containing three stories: Fast Times by Robert Valentine, The Legend of Baby Yaga by Roshni Patel, and Dimension of the Lost Things by Lisa McMullen, where we have the fugitive Doctor on the run, fleeing from Cosmo. Producer David Richardson said, "This was an absolute treat to work on. The fugitive Doctor is such a brilliant head-turning twist in this amazing long-running show we all love, and script editor Robert Valentine and I had such fun making plans. The 13th Doctor showrunner Chris Chibnall very generously gave up his time to meet with us on a Zoom while we threw around ideas and gave us some clarifications about the most enigmatic era of Doctor Who. We came after the meeting elated, full of purpose and sure of our direction. Chris told us that Jo was fantastic and a gorgeous person to work with, and he's absolutely right, of course. She came into the studio full of joy for the part, always smiling, always brilliant and charismatic. The Fugitive Doctor has her own audio series. The saying goes, it's about time."
The First Doctor's companion reunion tour continues in The Living Darkness, which sees him reunite with an older Stephen Taylor. Here, he has ruled over his planet for a good little while. Things haven't quite gone his way, and he's awoken all of a sudden aboard a mysterious spacecraft where a man claiming to be the Doctor is the latest arrival. Something is lurking in the darkness in those corridors. What could it be? This release is a six-parter once again, this time written by Jacqueline Rayner. And of course, it stars our dear friend Stephen Noonan as the First Doctor, alongside Lauren Cornelius, once again as Dodo, and, as we say, Peter Purvis as Stephen Taylor. We have a wonderful bit of cover art by Oliver Arkestell-Jones, which looks absolutely gorgeous, and rather fittingly, since it's Peter Purvis, we have a German Shepherd there looking like such a good boy. That's not all. Producer Mark Wright had to say, what an honour to reunite Stephen Taylor with the First Doctor in an adventure paying tribute to that rich era of 1960s Doctor Who. The Living Darkness is a terrific script from Jacqueline Rayner, full of suspense, terror, and rich emotion. Peter Purvis is a true icon of not just Doctor Who, but of British popular culture, and it was a joy to see Peter and our First Doctor, Stephen Noonan, working together so effortlessly. We also had a superb company of guest actors joining us for this epic story, adding to the warm and collaborative atmosphere that typifies the Big Finish green room.
Time traveling from January to December, we have the Eighth Doctor and Audacity and Charlie return in Deadly Strangers, but that's not all. We have Matthew Jacobs, the screenwriter of 1996 Doctor Who's TV movie, is writing for McGann. Matthew Jacobs said, "But this is the first time I've written a Doctor adventure since 1996. The Doctor is such an integral part of my life. So it's been fascinating over the years to see it grow and grow, and Paul has kept the Doctor alive at Big Finish in a marvellous way, and he has become so much more sophisticated as a character from when we were starting. I was over the moon when script editor Matt Fitton asked me to put together a story. We discussed that this version of Paul's Doctor is a little bit more closer to the TV movie Doctor, inquisitive, not embrated as he gets through to the Time War. The idea that stuck to me was one where I got to deal with some unfinished business from the TV movie. In the movie, the Doctor says how sad it was that Pacini never got to finish Turn Dot, and it was a bane of his life towards the end. I wanted to tell the story to do with the nature of how we use music and how we search for love. So the first story by Matthew Jacobs is all about Pacini and the Doctor. The second story is Women's Day Off by Lisa McMullen, and then we have The Glooming by Lauren Mooney and Stuart Pringle.
A motley crew is being assembled for the second War Doctor Rises box set, Unknown Soldiers, another three-part epic, this time by Timothy X. Attack. The crew includes the disgraced Time Lord Paz, played by Isla Blair, Ogron's named Ogwan, an Og 2, played by Andrew James Spooner, deposed royalty Regent Lunim, played by Philippe Boscher, the hamster-sized psychopath Bivac de Squern, played by Simon Kane, and Omarel, played by Amanda Shadiko, a military handbook droid with a very familiar silhouette, which, if you've seen Sean Longmore's wonderful bit of cover art, it's a Mavellan. Together, they fight across the Time War and come across the Blind Bombmaker, played by Adam Martin, as well as, of course, the Daleks, played by, as ever, Nicholas Briggs. This box set will also be out in December, and producer James Richardson had to say, our run of epic movie-length single-writer War Doctor stories continues with a beautiful script written by award-winning Timothy Exeter. This is an absolute top-tier stuff. A bold, fiercely imaginative, and innovative tale populated by unique guest characters and layered with a gamut of human emotions. There's an absolute ride that had us on the edge of our seats during the studio recordings. Trust me, this is something very special indeed. Writer Timothy Exeter added, the fun thing with this one was being able to take a self-contained story within the Time War and stretch it out as far as possible. The idea right from the start was to introduce some really vibrant, interesting characters and then give them a lovely, complete arc with the War Doctor along for the ride. I knew that I could really go for the emotional jugular with that.
So, what bit of news is tingling your molecules the most?
I think right now it might be War Doctor. I'm really on the
Yeah,
high with Morbius the Mighty. But then again, it's also recency bias. It is the most recent bit of news. But yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful cover. I'm loving anything that's, say, 3 hour long epic at the moment. That whole
yes.
writer led initiative that Big Finish really seems to be pushing at the moment has, come up trumps for them on more than one occasion. And I don't think Timothy Exeter's written anything this long before. He's done some,
I think he's only done 2 hours, I think.
yeah. I mean, when he's done those, such as The Wreck of the World, they've been brilliant pieces. So, yeah, I mean, he was part of Warbringer, which was a 3 hour War Doctor story, but told by three writers and in a bit of a mixed up order.
Yes.
With an interesting one. But yeah, I'd be interested to see what he does with a whole story to himself here. And yeah, I love that approach of stretching these things out as far as they can go, really getting to explore the depths of these characters a lot more. And we've certainly got a interesting crew along for the ride here. I think this is something quite exciting, going for, the route of what would a companion to the War Doctor look like. We had it with Case, and it looks like we're doing something similar here, but to an even more darker degree, I suppose, because Case definitely had quite a few redeeming qualities to her. I'm expecting a little less of those in this bunch. I mean, yeah. How about you? What's exciting you the most from this recent wave of announcements?
I don't know. I think I'm glad to get a fugitive info finally and get a little glimpse
Yeah,
of what we could get with this.
April 2022, wasn't it, when we first had the
Yes.
announcement? And then nothing since then, except for the odd tease every once in a while.
I guess they
I mean,
wanted to get Shooty out the way, the 6 year specials, let that settle, have its moment in the limelight, and then let's go back to this really. I think that was probably one of the focuses with that. Um,
yeah.
but
It's funny how quickly the Chibnall era is coming around on audio, though,
yeah, we've got the,
because
the main Doctor, we've got Sasha Dewan, we've got Fugitive
mm,
Doctor.
yeah, I feel like of the two that were announced at Big Finish Day back in 2022, Sasha Dewan's Master is still exciting me more. I think Joe Martin is brilliant as the Doctor. I don't know whether Big Finish are going to go in an interesting enough direction with her
This is my
and how
worry
much they can commit.
because you look at the cover and you see Daleks And you think, okay, I guess it makes sense for a doctor to have like the thing with the one of the main enemies, baptism of fire and all that. But it doesn't scream unique take
Mm.
on the Doctor. I was expecting something a little bit unbound, something very off the wall. And just reading the synopsis, it sounds like it's a mixture of like your Beyond War games and your, I guess, a little bit like Jenny with like the Colt 5000. It doesn't scream this is a unique take and a unique identity. It just seems like this is a Doctor Who box set, but Joe Martin's the Doctor, which it shouldn't really feel like that. This is like a big event, really, and I feel
Mm.
like I'm being a negative git by saying that. I'm just being a grumpy old fart. But I just wanted
Yeah.
something very out there, and this is a moment for Big Finish to go. We're this is a chance to sort of carve a new era, and it doesn't
Mm.
seem like it's carving itself into a new.
Something that's not just, a new era, but a new take on Doctor Who in general.
Yeah, this is
This
the
isn't just another Doctor. This is something completely different. We don't even quite know what when it comes to the Fugitive Doctor, but I'm worried it's just going to be fairly generic Doctor Who starring Joe Martin, which I mean is wonderful because Joe Martin is a wonderful actress, and in the limited time we have seen of her, has done brilliant things. But I feel like it deserves more, this concept. And well, yeah, it does feel a shame to be sounding quite negative, just going purely off vibes, I suppose, really. you know. But at the same time, I think there is a precedent for this, really. Like when you look at um, John Hurt's War Doctor stories, how non-committal they felt for quite a while. I think we're getting there with the War Doctor Rises, but
I think that's the thing. The John Hurt audios are very much like let's enjoy John Hurt as the Doctor. The Jonathan Carley stuff are let's actually get into the character of the War Doctor.
mm,
Um, I think even by just changing the Dalek design would make it feel unique, like the initial prototype of what a Dalek design was. I think that would add a little bit of
yeah. I
spark,
wonder how much they can do that though. Legal issues there with like the image of a Dalek in the silhouette.
or just some weird creatures like swarming as you were like something just different to what we get.
Yeah. I expect more grander early days of the universe stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this is a different kind of Time Lord society, we hope, but with Alice Krieg's character, I don't know whether or not we'll be getting that.
It just sounds like another Raven.
Also, Cosmo. It sounds like the name you'd give a dog in a space show.
It sounds like a 1950s B movie character, doesn't it? Like, oh, come on, Cosmo, let's get back to our ship and have a fun time.
Yeah, it doesn't quite sound like
Menacing
Time Lord villain.
Yeah.
It's not the most intimidating of names. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I feel like we've ragged on the fugitive. Like, I'm still here for it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
intrigued by it.
I asked you what you're most excited for. We started ragging.
I've just
on
gone
that.
down a rabbit hole, but I needed to get it off my chest.
Still exciting.
Oh
But,
yeah, I'm still.
yeah, I think we've just taken one or two worries and maybe hopped on them more than we should have done. But
yeah.
yeah, I am definitely looking forward to the Rashana Patel story, though, The Legend of the Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
I think going into that side of folklore could be quite interesting. And yeah, the dimension of lost things as well. That seems curious. Yeah, I think the main one that worries me is the opener, because I feel like that's often when Big Finish is at its safest, but in a boring way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, please prove me wrong, War Doctor. I'm picking you up anyway.
Yeah.
Not War Doctor.
Fugitive.
Doctor.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. For that. Living Darkness, I think sounds quite cool. The cover is great.
Yeah. It's not AI, by the way. Some people were jumping on that straight away because that's the thing to do now. Sadly, it feels like. I mean, AI has been taken over a lot. It's a huge part of our lives, whether we want it or not, sadly. And there is a lot of AI generated imagery out there. Quite a few businesses are unfortunately employing it both for imagery and other things. But this cover does not have AI.
Mhm.
So please don't go attacking all the wonderful artist, Oliver Arkenstall Jones, because yeah, some hard work has gone into this. I do really like his style. I'm glad that he's got a Big Finish cover proper after doing
Yeah.
those posters for Once and Future. And then Eighth Doctor. I mean, I think we were hoping for another two-parter.
Yeah, I think that's where the Eighth Doctor really excels, like the chunky stories.
I mean, we made a whole video on this a couple of months back about should the Eighth Doctor go back to arcs and such, and sort of ragging on about the 3 1-hour stories approach to box sets.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if you want to know our full thoughts on that before this news came along, then please do check that out. I'm glad that it's Audacity and Charlie, though.
Yes, that's a very exciting because I love that pairing. It's like the
Mm,
highlight of last year's Big Finish.
yeah, it's nice to be able to go back and forth between this more classic Who style team
Yeah,
and the more new series style team of the Eighth Doctor, Liv and Helen. It would be nice to get something more with either of them, really,
yeah,
rather than just all and then a couple of fun Doctor Who adventures, which, now that I say that out loud, it's kind of mean.
yeah. I mean, we've been
Ultimately,
quite mean in this one. I'm not gonna lie, but we've
yeah.
got concerns.
I mean,
But
Matthew Jacobs returning is exciting.
yeah, I mean, especially to get a more energized Eighth Doctor. I think that's my favorite Eighth Doctor. I think that's probably why I latched onto the Charlie and Audacity stuff.
Mm. We've also got a story set in Iceland.
Hmm.
And looking back at the history of Big Finish stories set in Iceland, it's a good track record.
Yeah, Hunting Ground was very good.
Yeah. And then Laura Mooney and Stuart Pringle, I'm assuming, are doing the one about a lethal interloper slipping into the dreams of a sleeping population. The gloaming. It sounds more like the gloaming than it does Woman's Day Off. I think
Yeah.
Woman's Day Off is the Icelandic one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We'll see that. And then Puccini and the Doctor. We're going into history. It's quite a romantic period as well. I think it's one that suits the Eighth Doctor.
Yeah.
And, he's voiced by Tim McInnery, who, always wonderful to see him around. But, one release we didn't rag on, funnily enough, was War Doctor Rises, Unknown Soldiers. So, War Doctor got something going for it at the moment, just saying.
Yeah, it's got a good format. It stays winning.
Yeah. And Jonathan Carley, always giving a brilliant performance.
It's his year. It's his year.
Yeah, it really is. Let us know all your thoughts, negative or positive, in the comments below.
Do you have the same concerns that we have?
Are we too negative? Let us know. We try not
I
to
hope
be,
that we're fair.
and then we end
I
up.
hope we're fair. I hope that we're fair. It doesn't come across like, oh, here we go again.
We're still picking these things up.
Oh, I've had these on order for over a year now. So, yeah, I'm still showing up support,
we're not just hating for the fun of it. And I wouldn't even go so far as to say hating.
No, they're just general concerns,
They're wonderful. We wouldn't spend as much money on them as we do if we didn't think so. Honestly, it's scary when you think of this. What has this video become? This was news.
I know.
This was meant to be news. It's turned into an existential crisis of sorts. Well,
anyway, thank you for
take
watching. And we'll see you next time.